Listen, I'm a big supporter of the metaverse, NFTs, crypto, AR, VR, Web 3.0. But I got to tell you, I didn't start this process without doing some research and being very thoughtful. And I think that any of you guys out there who are as excited as me about the metaverse and about the future of getting our products and services out there have got to be aware of the fact that there are some downsides potentially. There are some big risks. And I've been getting some comments lately about people saying, listen, I don't believe in virtual land. Right click and save. The music is overrated. I'd rather just stream. I don't need the stems, that kind of stuff. And that's totally fine. And I really want to make this video about those people. And I want to kind of I'm going to go through, I think, 15, maybe even more, potential worst case scenarios for the metaverse. And we're going to talk about it. Hopefully this is going to be a dialogue with everyone, and there's going to be some comments, and we can talk about the positives and the negatives of the metaverse, because I don't want anyone to be fooled. I am so stoked about the metaverse and Web 3.0. I like I said, I think it's the future. I've engrossed myself into virtual land and trying to figure out what is the true value. Why is it trading on Decentraland and Axie Infinity and the Sandbox for so much money? I mean, it takes thousands to get in oftentimes. There's a lot of reasons why, and we're going to talk about some of them today. But the point of it is there's a reason. Not all people are stupid. And not all people haven't thoughtfully thought about what's going forward in the metaverse, and especially in virtual land space. I wanted to bring one point up today, and that is what I'm going to start doing is also have some comments about, listen, I love your material, Ian, but it's too long on the lives. So what I'm going to start doing is actually doing what's called a lawyer live, which will be right now. And then what I'm going to do is do a lawyer brief, which is going to be a lot of the content for this video in a much more truncated fashion, like 8 to 10 minutes or something like that, for people who can't make the lives or don't have that time to go through the lives. I want to tell you that I think this is the best experience, being live with you, because I love to interact, get those questions and those comments as we're talking about it. But at the same time, I understand it. I'm a busy dad. I have to take my girls different places. So I get it. And so the time is now for me to do not only the lawyer live, but also the lawyer brief. The lawyer brief video will be coming out in the next few days after this lawyer live. I just want to take a moment to say hi to some people. Good morning, Anthony Goodley. Just so you know, I did get your email, and I will be talking to you later about that. We also have Cobalt Plays. Good morning, all. Good morning, Cobalt. Good to see you. And of course, the Queen is here. I told you I want nothing to do with the metaverse. Now you sacrifice, unfortunately. Well, I understand. Listen, Queen, I think over time, I'm going to convince you. I'm going to keep on working. There's nothing in it for me, but I just want you to be able to see some opportunity out there. And then we also have Christina Marie. Good to see you, Christina. You are amazing. Thank you so much. I think you all are amazing too. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the worst case scenario for the metaverse. That way we get all the risks out of the way. You know them, and then you can make your decision. I've made my decision. I'm all in on the metaverse and Web 3.0. You may have a different perspective. A lot of people out there are doing the whole buy, rehab, refinance and sell or rent. But that's fine. You can do that in the physical place. There's just more room for us to be able to get the virtual land, to get that proximity factor that we all want. So let's move on. Let's share this screen to our slides. Let's go here. All right, cool. So the first reason why there is a risk to the metaverse is that the tech is a long way off. I was going through some pictures of some AR and VR goggles and devices, and there's lots of them. There's tons of them out there. And this was kind of the funniest one I've saw. It's actually dated. I think it's back for a couple of years ago. But the point is made, and that point is that right now the technology is clunky when it comes to virtual reality and augmented reality. Yes, Facebook has come up with the new Ray-Ban glasses. Yes, we saw Google Glass, but they all look kind of goofy, and they're a year or two away from widespread adoption. So if you're walking around with Ray-Ban glasses and cameras, I think you're going to be avoided by a lot of people. So that's true. And then I got to tell you with the VR stuff too. I mean, gosh, even if you're using the Oculus 2, There was a gentleman who was recently interviewed. He goes to work every day, 8 hours a day in his VR goggles. He does his coding. He answers his phone. He does virtual meetings. That's the future. And Bill Gates has actually said that in 2 to 3 years, we're going to be mostly doing virtual meetings like that, not just Zoom, but actually virtual with avatars. But I can't possibly take him at face value that he's sitting there for 8 hours a day in those VR goggles. I recently went on an experience with my family to a VR game center. And I got to tell you, it was really fun. You go through this video game and you battle people and all this stuff. But there's so much equipment. It is so cumbersome, a backpack, and you have to have special gloves and a special gun, and you have to have this big old headset. And, when you're in it, you kind of don't feel it. But about maybe 15 minutes into your experience, it starts to weigh on you. It starts to feel, tense your neck and make you kind of sensitive. And so I got to tell you, it's not there yet. And, when I really think that AR and VR are going to be adopted is when it's very easy to do it for workplace stuff. And right now, unless you're sitting at your home in your bedroom, I don't know that it's acceptable for you just to be sitting there on a VR headset. So that's one of the risks of the metaverse. And one of the worst case scenarios is that we don't get there soon enough. In other words, 2 to 3 years, we're still sitting there with these big goggles on our face, and it's just not practical. It's not attractive. And so that's one of the risks. So my thought is this, though, that what's great about the current metaverse is that it's not just experienced on the VR and the AR. It actually can be experienced pretty well on computers right now. And so as you saw from some of my videos this week, especially the one about virtual land, if you bought land, LAND, capital, all capitals, in the sandbox, you can experience it. Now, they're still building it out. It's not exactly perfect, but you can use your computer and walk around and see Snoop Dogg, and you can visit different games and booths and different vendors. So it's possible to experience now. The point I'm trying to make through all of you guys is that the time is now to get in. As we saw, sand, that token at the sandbox was selling for 3 cents a year ago, and now it's selling for over $5. All right. That's not something to be upset about, but it just shows how quick the adoption is. I would say Web 1.0, what came in the 1990s, which is just us getting information. And then Web 2.0 came in 2000. And then within, a good 20 years, like we're saying right now, Web 3.0 is here. And I don't think we're ever going back. I've read time and time again, scholars talk about this Web 3.0, the metaverse, and there's no way out of it. We're not going back. So I think part of this process is you accepting this and then doing what you feel comfortable in this metaverse. So let's see. We're going to say hi to some people. We got Jessica J here. She says hi. Good to see you, Jessica J. Queen Helen Casey says the metaverse is not worth the energy to deal with. Queen, I totally understand your criticism. I just think that you don't have to go all in like I have. I mean, there are lots of different opportunities for you out there. Just check out the music. I think the music is the easiest thing ever. You can actually check out the music and see that if you're into music, I guess, that you can buy an NFT, music NFT, and then be able to see those different stems and have access to different concerts. All sorts of different features can be unlocked. So you could just dabble. You don't have to jump all the way in. Just check out some of the domain names. I've said in previous lives, listen, maybe it's smart to buy some of those URLs for some of the metaverse companies, metaverse products coming up. Listen, you can go to GoDaddy right now and spend $8 and own the URL for what you think is going to be a big topic, for a year. So there's ways to ease into it. Nikki Red is here. She says, good morning. And we got Damien De La Cueva. He says, Congratulazioni, Dottore Ian Corzine. As you can tell, I speak fluent Italian. All right, we got Kim's here today. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. And we got Modder Paul Scambaits. I wonder what he's going to say. Yes, it's clunky, fun, but clunky. I think AR meetings are more likely than VR meetings. Yeah, I think so too. And I think one of the reasons why is because we're able to divert our attention pretty well. In a lot of meetings right now that I'm sure you attend, people are on their phones, they're on their iPads as we're going through the meeting. Maybe they have some slides up. So yes, we can have different things going on in a meeting, and maybe it's more efficient. Maybe if we're talking in a meeting and I have these glasses on, and someone doesn't know what the stats are for sales that month, they can pull that up in their glasses and say, "Oh no, it was $100,000 real quick." So there could be some real value to using AR for those experiences. So that's I think that's a good point. We got Cobalt here. Metaverse still keeps sounding like Second Life, even HoloLens. Yes, I hear you. I've looked into it. I think Second Life, from what I understand, I didn't spend a lot of time with it, was much more clunky, and it didn't get the traction because the technology wasn't there. And then you may say, Ian, you just got done saying the tech wasn't there for the metaverse, and I agree with you. It's not. But at the same time now, because of cryptocurrency and the ability to own NFTs, which weren't available before, we can put our stake down. See, this is really where we're doing, I don't want to say land grab, but this is a time when we're doing a stake. We're putting it down. We're putting it down, and then we're hoping that there's going to be some good appreciation of our interest, whatever it is, whether it being Matrix Revolutions or whatever, NFTs, or buying the new song from Ariana Grande as an NFT, or buying virtual land on Decentraland. So it's really less about functionality now and more about stake. And as I told Queen, just start slow. There are ways you can start slow. So, all right, let's move on to our second possible worst case scenario when it comes to the metaverse. And that is the right click and save. A lot of comments I get about the right click and save, and people laugh about it and all those things. And that's totally fine. I think it's great. It's just that they don't understand that we're moving into a new universe where we're not trying to fight against the right click and save. That right click and save has been around for a long time. Now on YouTube, you're going to get into copyright problems if you right click and save and you don't either attribute or get permission to put that in your YouTube video. So what Decentralized has done is they said, listen, we're not going to fight the right click and save. We're just going to value the proof of ownership, because that is transparent, that's accessible, and it's not hackable. So that really is what you have to understand. And I'll certainly laugh with those jokes about right click and save and all those things. But the other part too is that NFTs and the metaverse are so robust that the right click and save only applies to the digital art part of it. So yeah, digital art's a big part of the right click and save, but it's not a big part of any other portion of the NFTs. I'm going to pull these things down because the sun is getting in our face. Is that better? Not really. But anyway, so the right click and save. Yes, like you see right here. I just right clicked and saved to get these images right there. Unfortunately, I did not get permission from people. But what I'm going to do is do some commentary so that, of course, it counts as fair use. I think that the Baby Yoda is very cute. I think that the Toy Story image is not that cool. And I think that the other one is really weird because the person is being split in half. All right. So yeah, so that's the second kind of risk of the metaverse. The third is economic downturn, and I can't understate this enough. Before you start spending $12,000 on land in the sandbox, you have to understand that these NFTs are probably the first to go if we have a problem with the economy. It's discretionary spending, right? People are flush with cash right now, I think, or crypto, because of a variety of reasons having to do with 2020. And the fact that they're just excited to spend this money and to have this crypto. But that may not be for forever, because a lot of times people have put their savings into crypto and they're going to have to cash out at some point to pay their rent. So we could have an economic downturn. And I got to tell you, at that point in time, you're going to see prices of, music NFTs, digital art NFTs, virtual land. It's probably going to go down. The point of it is that you have to understand that that's the case with almost every business, intellectual property in general, and there are ups and there are downs, and we just have to be able to take those and realize that the utility of the underlying asset is super valuable, and it will continue to grow over time, maybe slowly. But as I said before, please take my advice. Before you start investing in NFTs or the metaverse at all, maybe even companies buying stocks of Meta or something, just remember that we could have an economic downturn that will substantially reduce these prices. A lot of you will go, okay, cool. That's my opportunity to buy. And maybe I'm one of them. All right. The other number 4 of our points here is that the metaverse is buggy and quirky. And I think you saw from my video on Tuesday where we talk about how, from soup to nuts, put crypto in a wallet, get a wallet hooked up to cold storage, blah, 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 blah. The video took 22 minutes. And by the way, it took me so much more time to actually make the video. I had to cut it down as quick as or as short as possible to be able to make it somewhat palatable. There is no dispute that getting into the metaverse right now is clunky. There aren't a lot of ways to make it easy. The rich people have these concierge. I don't know if you heard about these businesses that are cropping up where they basically go to rich people who have $100,000 and they want to put it into, crypto or into NFTs. And the artist just gives the rich person just gives the 100,000 to the concierge. Concierge takes a fee and then does all the stuff and puts them in their name and that whole thing. That's how hard it is now to go through it because a lot of people don't have the patience. I mean, I got to tell you, whether it be just going through the number of steps that it takes to get a Coinbase account, then get a wallet, transfer, have to pay all these large gas fees that exist right now. Just to do simple transactions. Also, you got to remember that Coinbase is taking 2.4%. If you're doing MetaMask for exchange, it's 2.9%. So you're getting eat up all these times. And my wife always jokes about the fact that, it's decentralized, so we don't have as many fees. We actually have way, way, way more fees now. The gas fees are high and the transaction fees are high. So even if you get past that, then you have this risk of hackers coming out there and stealing your stuff. So what you got to do is you can't just have one wallet that's software wallet. Maybe it's on your phone or maybe it's on your desktop as an extension. No, you got to have cold storage, which costs $120 to get a little thumb drive looking thing that locks it in. So absolutely, it is crazy. And then you even take another step, and that's just crypto. Once you actually get NFTs, you have to be able to use certain programs and apps to be able to view them and to put them in your wallet. You can't just transfer my NFT to my, Trezor. No, it's a long process. So that's another worst case scenario for the metaverse is that the technology doesn't get better. It's so clunky. It's so slow. Gas fees continue to mount. We don't get to the proof of stake concept. And so things are slow and they're expensive. So again, I'm sold on the utility of NFTs. I think that these are problems that can be solved, whether it be problems with the environment, when we move to the proof of stake concept. And so we're not really beholden to lots and lots of computer and wasting power, mining coins in various different currencies, which will be next year. My estimates are. We're not going to have as much problem with the environment. When we get to the stage where it's more widely adopted, when there's not a need for as many miners, then gas fees can come down. So I'm really optimistic, but I do recognize from a lot of you saying, Ian, I want to get into cryptocurrency. I want to get into NFTs, but tell me how. And even when I tell you how, you go, I ain't doing that. That takes too much time. So I get it. All right. So let's see. Yeah, Cobalt Fox Play says PlayStation Home tried this before. There's been lots of attempts by a lot of different platforms to do some sort of metaverse, some sort of world where you walk around, but none have really been successful because a lot of the technology and also the features. I think Roblox is the one that really blew some doors down and really changed people's perspective. And a lot of people live their life on Roblox. So lots of people trying it, I know. Nikki says, is this a good investment even though I don't know much about Metaverse? Well, I'm not an advisor. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a lawyer. I'm a guy who understands intellectual property online, copyright, trademark, those things. And then I also understand the rules of buying and selling goods from a lot of my experience being a litigator for 20 years and business and insurance and intellectual property. So I can't give you investment advice. All I got to say is look into it. I've been telling people over and over, don't just look at the hype. Don't look at the fact that the Beeple every day is sold for 69 million. Actually read about it. There's tons of books. Actually, if you go to Amazon right now, just type in NFT, type in crypto, type in metaverse, you're going to be able to find a whole bunch of free books, which I read, almost all of them, that you can get for your Kindle, or they can print them out and send them to you, at your home, and just read about it. That's all I'm asking to do, because I think that here's what the risk is. If you don't invest in the metaverse, I don't mean money, I mean time. money and time, you risk going through a stage now where websites are becoming obsolete, and you didn't take that piece of virtual land or that stake in some sort of universe, or start working on Discord. And as a result, you're kind of left behind. And listen, I'm still going to be there to support you, but I also don't want you to be left behind. I want you to be at the forefront, taking your products and services and putting them out there. I was talking to one of our good fans today, Coconut Pete, and Coconut Pete he's going to be showcased next week because he created a virtual world, and I want to share about that world. It's kind of special. There's some mysteries and some secrets about this virtual world that I will reveal next week. But he is smart, and he's already looking for opportunities out there for his programming knowledge. He's an expert on Roblox, but he's also looking at, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could develop on Decentraland in the Sandbox and Axie Finis for free, because that was the big deal. It's like, I don't own any land. I don't have $10,000 to buy virtual land. How do I develop? But no, you can learn to develop these things. And think about this, guys. If there are people out there who are willing to invest thousands of dollars for virtual land, which is just intangible property, they must have money to develop on that land, right? Once you have land, do you just let it sit there? No, you want to develop it. You want people to visit. You want to put up signs that advertise things. So there's a lot of industries that are cropping up from this virtual reality, and I want you to be aware of. All right, let's get back to it. All right, so, worst case scenario, the metaverse doesn't become less buggy and it's a pain in the butt and no one wants to do it. That's the worst case. All right, and then the other worst case is that you saw in the movie Ready Player One that this metaverse, this virtual reality where you spend a lot of your time, just becomes a disaster, a dystopia. Real life world is horrible. You're living in a studio apartment or something, and you have not enough money to survive, but you do have your headset, you do have your gloves, and so you spend 8 to 12 hours a day in this metaverse, and it doesn't lead to further developments in humanity. I recognize this. I doubt it's going to happen, because I think that this is going to further connect us, just like the fact that I can go on Discord right now and talk to my friends in Sweden right now, real time, no delay, is so great. Well, just think about if I can jump in the metaverse and interact with these people and show off these people. I just got this new, shirt here that's cool, that changes color or whatever, to be able to interact and maybe be able to do jobs on the metaverse. Let's say I'm a coder. I might be able to do jobs in the metaverse, kind of like that guy on Ready Player One, where I think he was fixing cars, programming cars in the metaverse. So we may even have those connections in the metaverse. So I understand that there's that thought that we still have our human needs and wants and things in this world. So there is that negative, and it could cause us to devalue this world. In other words, we don't want to go to the forest or pick up trash because we'd rather just be playing video games in the metaverse. There's that risk. But I also think that risk is countervailed by the value that this metaverse will give all of us. So that's just my thought. The other thing, especially about the metaverse right now, it's a worst case scenario, is that the tech never gets less expensive. I mean, I'm looking at this slide right here, put it up. This is one of the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs, and it's selling for about 10,000 Ethereum. So what does that turn out to be? Is that $4.6 million or 460,000? I don't know which one. I was not a math major, so whatever one that is. But I got to tell you, 10,000 ETH is a lot. We just saw today that one of the Bored Ape Yacht Club owners created a music video. I think it's Bored Ape 9797. You should check it out. It's actually the music video and the song are actually on the Billboard charts. It's actually doing well. Great way to pump up the value of that NFT. But it could very well be, guys, that the tech is too expensive and people can't get in. I mean, even right now, I did my virtual land video on Thursday, release it on Thursday, and people are like, that's great, Ian. I don't got $10,000 to spend on nothing, let alone a new car or whatever. So got it. Totally understand it. That is a downside. That is something that could really destroy, the metaverse. But I just think that over time, when more and more people get into the metaverse, it's not going to be a problem. I think over time, things are going to come down. There's going to be different projects. There's different projects coming out every single day. And while right now, Bored Ape It's huge. CryptoPunks, huge. They won't be forever. And I think they're going to be able to hold their value, but they're not going to be able to, there's going to be other projects that are going to really entice people like Zed Run and things. So, but that's a negative. I will say that. It's very expensive. I can't get into the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I probably could have back a year ago. And that's why I'm telling you to think about this now, because some of the things that are coming out now will be worth 10,000 ETH next year. So just think about it, guys. Let's see. All right. 7, government regulation. Yeah, sure, it's a great invention, but does it comply with government guidelines? There is definitely the threat. Certainly, we know about the threat to cryptocurrency, about being regulated. I use the word threat with quotes because a lot of people like it. Even people who own Bitcoin and Ethereum and have lots and lots of crypto, they're like, dude, at least we can keep it honest. At least there's some sort of ability to enforce maybe smart contracts, have some law enforcement involved in fighting hackers. Maybe there'll be a new government agency that's just devoted to crypto. So some people are saying that's a positive, but a lot of people also say it's a negative because there might be increased taxes. I mean, really, it's the tax thing. They don't want to pay taxes on their earnings. Same could be true of NFTs. There is an argument that an NFT could be construed as a security under SEC guidelines, at least some projects, but most not. Most, if you're earning tokens, it's not ownership in the underlying company that's created this platform. It's not a bond. It's not a loan. You're not getting dividends. So there's minimal threat. There certainly could be regulation of the underlying currency that you use to buy the NFT, but probably NFTs are pretty good. And then again, it just kind of brings back my argument, which is they're not regulated now. Why not get in now, spend $50? We're not talking, 10,000 ETH. And really do some research and buy some NFTs from a project that you believe in. And maybe there's going to be a chance that it goes up in value, and the chance of being regulated is probably not that much. So anyway, let's say hi to some people. We got Mantis Lou. Mantis Lou is here. Good to see you. We also got Anthony Goodley. Good to see you too. Christina Marie says, I agree that the future is all about VR. I am a 44-year-old YouTuber and started watching my own videos and others on my Oculus VR. That's awesome. Yeah, I think so too, Christina. I think that we already can do that, and we're going to start doing that more. I think that's the future for YouTube content. That's why I think that my services will always be needed, because I think that YouTube is going to get much more consumed via VR and potentially AR at some point. So I totally agree with that. We got... let's see. I can't unseen the buzz the same way. Laugh out loud. Hey, Burrito Man Jr. I really liked your father, Burrito Man. This is Burrito Man Mr. Sorry, I misread that. Mr. Burrito Man. Good to see you, Mr. Burrito Man. Yeah, I see. And then let's see. We also have Maleda. Thank you for having a wide scope, thoughtful view of the metaverse. I appreciate your educational videos. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, again, I'm trying to get people to understand, to be open to the metaverse. I'm not trying to convert you. I'm not trying to force you, queen, to be a metaverse queen. You can stay being a Web 2.0 queen. But just think about it, because I think it's going to serve you in the long run. And by the way, while you're thinking about it, make sure and give me some thumbs up on this video so that we can kind of push this forward and send our message, which is there are some downsides to the metaverse and there are some upsides out there to people. We also got Dr. Juan here. I have money. You recommend to buy Bitcoin. Listen, I don't recommend you do anything. I'm not a financial advisor. I could never do that. But I just want you to be open to the prospect that crypto could be something that would fit in your portfolio and actually could grow over time. So that's my thought. Sim Architect's here. Good to see you, Sim Architect. See you in Twitter all the time. And while we're talking about Twitter, if you guys want more and more updates about what's going on in the metaverse, maybe some updates on when virtual land is available, follow me on Twitter. And also join Discord if you can, and find my Discord server. Just type in Ian Korja and you'll be able to get on that Discord server. And I'll release updates time to time. Also, you might think about joining NFT community Discord server. It's one of my favorite communities. I'm an active part of it. And you're going to learn probably more in 15 minutes on that server than you would reading 2 or 3 books on the metaverse. So it's a great server. Modder, Paul, Scam Baits. Scammers are also targeting Bitcoin more and more. They are, and we're going to get to that as a negative for the metaverse for sure. And then Anthony Goodley says, sounds like many things need to advance and become much user-friendly before there is widespread adoption. I think Anthony is absolutely right. I think there's a lot of problems right now, but why not invest some time, an hour a week, learning about a MetaMask wallet, learning about how Coinbase, how Binance, how Bittrex work, just to learn these things, because even though it's going to get more efficient, the underlying technology is not going to change. Blockchain is not going to change. I say invest the time. All right, let's get to our downsides. All right. And then this is exactly what Paul Scambates said. Hacks happen every day. There's no dispute. Absolutely. I will say this, though. The headlines and the media talk about hacks, and they always try to pigeonhole it like people are infiltrating wallets through coding or something. No, most of the hacks that I've seen, and you can tell me differently, I could be wrong, but everything that I read in the headlines is always because a keyword phrase, a seed phrase, was released. There was some sort of contact, a DM on Discord, and the person was like, "Oh, this is a good source," and they somehow broadcast their seed phrase, and then the hacker gets in that way. I have not seen, and please correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of incidents of hackers somehow breaking into a MetaMask wallet or breaking into cold storage without first getting password, PIN, and seed phrase. So let me know, but I got to tell you that there's no question about it. All the headlines are such, and people are really concerned. There's definitely been situations where thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions have been stolen. So don't get into the metaverse without understanding that there's that risk. I would say there's that risk no matter what. I don't care if you have credit cards, if you're doing banking online, you're still going to have those same risks. It doesn't seem to me, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, easier and with blockchain. It doesn't seem like that. It just seems like it gets all the headlines because people are fearful and scared, and the media loves when people are fearful, and the media also knows that when there are fear-based negative headlines that people tune in and read the articles and all that stuff. So I think over time that's actually going to go away. I don't think hackers will ever go away, but I will say this, that as opposed to many of the other areas of finance, blockchain enthusiasts are making this thing as safe as possible. As you saw in my video on Tuesday, I showed you not only how to have a wallet, which is secure, right? But also to have cold storage for that wallet connected. So you're like doubly, you have to have a seed phrase and a PIN and a username and a password. And it's not even connected to the internet. So there are ways to secure your NFTs, your crypto. It's just that the headlines are such that they talk about the hacks all the time. So, that's a risk. We'll give it to them. And then we move on to number 9 as some of the downsides or the worst case scenario for the metaverse. And that is, there's no hard cap. Like in Bitcoin, there's a hard cap, right? There's a limited amount of Bitcoin. There's other cryptocurrencies out there where there is a limited amount. So there's scarcity. And so as a result, you don't feel as bad investing because you're knowing there's only going to be a certain amount. Well, a lot of people have brought up to me, they go, I don't get virtual land. There's no cap. And first of all, we don't know that. And secondly, there is a cap, on the sandbox. I think for sure it's 16,400 plots. So there is a cap, but then they say, well, Ian, that's just what it is now. And they could always expand it. And my response is that's absolutely true. But just think of virtual land as physical land. All right. There's kind of like no cap on land or on Earth. And now you'd argue, Ian, there's, we have population density problems and all those things. But I think, what is it? It's some amazing amount. The world is certainly 75% or more water. And then is it like, I don't know, there's so much available land right now. And so when you're buying land, you're not buying it for scarcity reasons. You're actually buying it for proximity reasons, right? You want to have an apartment that's in the coolest part of the city. You want to have a lake house that's close to a lake. You don't want to live in the boondocks. Yeah, everyone could live in the desert in Nevada and get a cheap place, but that's too far away. It's too far away from the grocery store. So think of virtual land as just like physical land, proximity. So if if you've seen on the sandbox, Snoop Dogg's plot, he has an estate there. You would like to have your 1x1 right next to Snoop. Why? because not only are you going to get visibility when people, thousands, maybe millions, visit Snoop's land and dance and party and do all those things, but you're going to have the ability to have an experience right next door. And so people will go, oh, that's cool. Oh, you're having a Snoop Dogg party, or I didn't know you offer these services to create items or assets on our land. So proximity is the point. So while I can agree with you wholeheartedly that we can never guarantee that there'll be a cap on all the land parcels made, because you could just create more, even though they tell us that there is. You could just do it. I got to tell you, it's not about that. It's about proximity. And when are you going to get proximity? When you're first in time. The people who bought their houses, gosh, I mean, I'm thinking about Orange County, California, along the coast there. They bought it 20, 30, 40 years ago. They are millionaires now because everyone wants land out there in Orange County. And it's close to the ocean. It's close to other cool houses. It's close to, stores and things that they want to frequent. So again, get in early and you'll have a better chance of proximity. Otherwise, you're going to be paying a premium for that same proximity 2 to 3 years down the road. So okay, let's see. We got Force Ghost Jeremy here. Exactly. This isn't a new idea. Second Life was doing this 10 plus years ago, buying and selling virtual land. Yeah, it's not a new idea. This traces many decades ago. Again, the point of this, guys, is the technology, right? Is not only the technology now that we can consume these worlds easier, but also the promise that in 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years, it will be easily consumable. It will be easy to do crypto transactions. It's very familiar to be on virtual reality. It'll be something that if those goggles get smaller and more comfortable, that we'll really have no problem with. So we're just talking about a first in time argument, not the boy, it failed before, so it's going to fail now. No. It's that it failed before because the technology wasn't there. It's going to succeed now because there is some of the technology needed for it, and there's the promise, and there's no guarantee, but there is a big promise that technology will be available in the next 2 to 3 years. So that's the difference. Andrew Hager says, I seriously hope to God the worst case scenario doesn't happen in the metaverse. I know, Andrew, I think you made a comment. I think you were here earlier. Listen, I told you it's important for us to consider the risks of the metaverse, but every single time you see me discussing that risk, then I countervail it with probably a better reason. I don't think all the commentators says it's not going away. Web 3.0 is here to stay. It is the new internet. So I'm telling people, I'm not being paid to do this. I don't have any sponsorships related to this right now. I'm just excited about the possibility of helping you guys see what I've seen from the reading I've done. Generics here. Is there any reason to protect ourselves with a business entity in the metaverse? Yes, there is. One of the things that isn't discussed a lot is that we're talking about now in YouTube a lot of copyright issues, and it's YouTube is having a hard time with it. And I will say that it's going to get nothing but worse. We've talked about this before in live, saying that copyright issues on Web 2.0 platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube are going to get it worse. And YouTube at some point is just going to throw up their hands, and I think over time push away independent creator content because they can't control it. So yes. We have that problem right now, but that problem is going to exist also in the metaverse. Unfortunately, the promise was when we got blockchain and we got NFTs that, that would be a great way to adjudicate copyright issues, right? So if I bought a Beeple, digital art piece, that would come with copyrights. And so not only the ownership of the actual piece and the right to use it how I see fit, but also the copyrights with it, so that I'm forever have every days on my sweatshirts and I sell it and But that's not come to fruition just yet. Right now, when you buy a new digital token, when you buy an NFT, it does not necessarily come with copyrights unless it's part of the smart contract, part of the agreement. So it's really important for you to understand that. And it's also important then to understand that there's the possibility of copyright infringement with your purchase of NFTs. Let's say you didn't secure the copyright for a song from Drake, let's say, and then you proceeded to use that song in your videos, in your world. Let's say you have a world in Roblox, and then later on you get a cease and desist letter from Drake saying, listen, dude, yeah, I understand that you have proof of ownership of the piece of music, but that doesn't give you the copyrights to it. You can't mix and remix and change the instrumentation, do covers of it. I didn't sell that part. So if that's the case, then you may be liable for copyright infringement, and you may want to have an LLC there to protect you. An LLC is just one of those layers of protection of your personal assets. Insurance is another layer. So yeah, I believe that there will continue to be a reason to have corporate entities, including LLCs, corporations, partnerships out there, even in this world. I'm hoping at some point in time that the technology for blockchain will get such that most of the time when you're buying art, whatever, music, podcasts, animations, digital images, that will automatically come with the copyrights. That will make it much simpler. We'll know exactly who has the copyrights. We'll be able to understand if there's an infringement right away, because we'll be able to have signals on the blockchain that someone else is using this a lot unlawfully. We're not there yet. So as a result, recommend LLCs still. Thanks for joining us, Mantis Lou. All right. Let's see. We got Timochi Glass, starting a YouTube channel that makes content with unsuspecting people, like pranks, but opposite with positive situations. What legal aspects do we need to consider? Woo! There's probably a lot. Depends on where you live. You're probably going to have to get some consent. You're going to have some releases for your videos. If you ever need that kind of documentation, just go to iancorzine.com. I have a legal template section where you can go down into it and explore all the different templates you need. They have explanations with the templates, so you can kind of find the ones that fit your needs. But you're definitely going to need releases. You're definitely going to need independent contractor agreements to start that channel. So good luck on that. I'm excited that you're doing that. We also have Highlander 9936. Ian, how will this Metaverse help in all types of jobs, whether you're a professional or a non-professional? Thanks for the information. So much. Let's say a plumber. Not only is a plumber able to have a Metaverse where people can visit, and this plumber can demonstrate certain techniques that the person should be doing in their house. So we could have plumbers, located in Switzerland and giving advice to people in Australia. Obviously, we talk about medicine. That's another part of the Metaverse where there's going to be robots doing operations, and the doctors will be doing it remotely, precisely. The big one that you can see right now, I'm blanking on the name of it. What is it called? I forgot the name of the website. I'll put it in the description. But right now, you can subscribe to this service, which will allow you to use your Oculus 2 VR goggles and do work. And be able to, you don't need monitors anymore. You just need your VR goggles, and you could have as many screens as you want. And you can actually do your coding, you do your emails, you can do anything you want through these goggles, and then take meetings, Zoom calls, actual phone calls that your iPhone or your Android pops up right on the screen. So yeah, it's going to be endless. And I think at this stage, we're going to need much less space for our workplace, because we're going to need a comfortable chair. We're going to need a keyboard, and we're going to need our goggles. That's it. Noise won't be as much a concern, because we'll have noise cancellation on our VR sets. So that's not going to be a big deal. We're going to have more ability to do work from home, because you don't need the space, and you can do it quietly in some other part of the house. So many different utilizations of VR Metaverse for work, for sure. But I do want to get back to our reasons here why the Metaverse could go wrong. And so we talked about the cap on land, possibly. I just want to bring it up too. The Metaverse could make people less happy. And the reason why is that they could compare their lives in the Metaverse with their lives in real life and really get dissatisfied and go, gosh, darn it. In the Metaverse, I'm popular and I have a skinny avatar. In the real world, I'm older. I've gained some weight. Not as popular, whatever it is. And so that is a serious risk to mental health of people. Living their lives foremostly on the Metaverse could cause them to have some depression, some anxiety. Don't dispute that. Don't know how to combat that. It's kind of one of those things where the Metaverse has been put in motion, and it's a flywheel. It just keeps on going and going and going and going. So we're just going to have to deal with that. Maybe then we're going to have to consult Metaverse therapists. That's just part of this process. So I don't know exactly how to cure that part. Maybe, and I'm hoping that people will continue to have balanced lives. They'll realize that there's so much out here in the real world that's wonderful, like going, skiing or going up in the mountains or going to the beach and feeling the sand. that they can balance it. They go, I love these aspects of the metaverse, but I also love these aspects of the real world, but it could go wrong. So you people who say, listen, it's going to lead to a dystopia, it's going to lead to mental health problems, I don't dispute it. It could very well, but I hope it doesn't. Going to 11 is that a threat to the metaverse is that the hype cycle slows. We had a lot of hype with the metaverse and NFTs last year, or this year, excuse me. I want to say, February through, April, March. I mean, that was huge. And then, of course, the hype is growing right now. And I will say this, if you go to the websites which have the headlines, or you go to Google Trends, almost always there is an NFT, a metaverse, a Web 3.0 story. So it's trending, it's in the headlines. A lot of big people are spending a lot of money on it so that it keeps the headlines going. A lot of us don't have that money, so we can't participate. So as a result, the hype could die down. And who cares? I mean, think about it. Like, most of us don't have works of art, like paintings, in our houses anyway. We can't afford it, or we just don't have any desire. Why? Who cares? So that could happen with the metaverse. But again, I have to go to the other argument. It's not as likely, because in the metaverse, when you have a painting at your house, only people that come to your house can see it. So if you're really proud of having this expensive painting, only people that are allowed in your house can see it. But when the metaverse goes, it's actually different. Not only can they locate these pieces of art because it's transparent on the blockchain, so you could find out where this special Beeple digital art is, but lots of people can have access to it, and it will enhance your credibility. It will show that you own a scarce resource, and so maybe you're cool. So I think that it's different than just owning stuff that is expensive at your house. It's in the future. I think people are going to spend less on their house, their furniture and things, and spend more in this metaverse, because it's easily to get some cred out there in the world. But it's possible. It's definitely possible that the hype cycle could slow. The other part is, or the 12th item that really could threaten the metaverse is that the blockchain is devalued. I think all of us know right now that when you're playing in the NFT game, a lot of the value is tied up not only in the hype, what we just talked about, but also in the value of the chain. Like, if Ethereum now goes down to $100 tomorrow, that's really going to devalue a lot of these famous NFTs, like CryptoPunks. I mean, it's really going to hit them hard. So what happens if there's a hack to the blockchain? What happens if there's some sort of maybe some regulation that comes up that really devalues the blockchain? That will devalue your NFTs. There's no doubt about it. So it's a risk. And then the other part too, with NFTs now, a majority of them are created on the Ethereum blockchain. So it's a little bit like a monopoly right now. It's not true. There's Solana and there's Tezos and there's some other blockchains that are handling NFTs, but Ethereum gets all the press, and frankly, most people like creating on Ethereum. So that's a lot to put. That's a lot of money to put down in Ethereum, or to transfer into a token for a various crypto platform, and then lose it all if the blockchain loses value. So it is a legitimate threat. We just have to take it. And then I have 13 as another downside to the metaverse is that we have smart contract fails. We understand that in the metaverse, and especially on the blockchain, that there's the ability to have smart contracts. I think we understand that there are auto-executing contracts. So a good example is you mint an NFT right now in OpenSea, and then you create a commission to it, so that every time that NFT is sold in the future, you're going to make, let's say, a 10% commission. That's a smart contract. It's not just like someone writes you a check. It automatically happens upon transfer of your NFT. That's a huge benefit. It's awesome. It's clear. It's enforceable. But there's the possibility now is that, the smart contracts, while they use the term contract, they're not technically legal. I mean, they are legal, but they're not legally enforceable at this point, technically. I would say that if you made the argument in court, you could actually win the day, but the law is so old right now, and is not, mentioning the enforceability of smart contracts right now. So if someone makes you a promise when you buy an NFT, let's say you buy an NFT for a famous organization, and that's going to get you into future conferences, and that's going to get you benefits to buy more, and blah, 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 blah. they're making you these promises, but if you look closely in the terms and conditions, most of them say, we don't really guarantee that we're going to continue to do that. We reserve the right to modify or change the terms of service at our discretion. So yeah, these promises are being made, and they're really cool, and it would be awesome if they went to fruition. But it's at this stage, we're still early. And so there's the real threat that if you bought an NFT for $10,000 because you thought you're going to always go to Tony Robbins courses, you buy this $10,000 NFT, and that's going to be your ticket forever to Tony Robbins. He will promise you that, and it will say it in the terms and conditions, but it also say that they have the right to modify them at their own desire. So that's another risk. People might, get ripped off. Companies may go bankrupt. Their promises can't be kept. So another risk of the metaverse, but I will argue, of course, that risk is everywhere, right? If a company goes bankrupt and they owe you $100 or $1,000 or $100,000, that's going to be hard to collect. So we do have these risks that are incumbent on our normal, society, Web 2.0 society. We got number 14 right here, and the metaverse is centralized. And I put this photo up because it's the goofiest photo of all time, I want to say. But as you know, in October, Facebook, the holding company, was changed to Meta. And the reason why they're doing that is because they are trying to take over the metaverse. The whole point of the metaverse is decentralization. And these social media companies are saying, oh, shoot, we better move now, like I'm telling you to do. Otherwise, we're not going to have a foothold in this decentralized world. So they're taking a bet that people don't care so much about the decentralization. They care more about the features that come with this new Web 3.0, right? So, for a lot of us, we're like, dude, I'm so happy it's decentralized. There's no middleman. There's scant regulation. It allows us to be free. We can freely express ourselves. If I put out a video on the blockchain, there's a better chance it's not going to be censored. It's going to be more available to people. So I love that aspect. But there's a lot of people who are like, dude, I just want to be able to play cool video games, and I don't really care if I'm limited on certain things. If it's just a smooth interface, if it's something I'm familiar with, I'm going to do it. And so Facebook, Twitter, I'm trying to think of the other ones, obviously Instagram, because Facebook owns Instagram. A lot of these different social media platforms are moving towards trying to centralize this decentralized metaverse. And yet it's a risk. It's a risk. All the promise of Web 3.0 could go down the tubes if we allow Meta to be the metaverse and own everything in it. So we got to stop that. We got to continue to create altcoins and create projects on our own. We got to fight. We got to nominate and vote for legislators that are going to keep the metaverse decentralized. But it's really on us, and not consume the decentralized stuff. And then the 15th real risk to the metaverse, I think, is that the NFT platform fails. And this ties in what I was talking about bankruptcy. There's a lot of promises made in smart contracts. There's a lot of value tied up to certain projects right now, but they could just go away. They could just go bankrupt. They could just, get in trouble with the government, have a criminal complaint filed against them. So there is that risk. But again, I want to make sure that you understand that that's the same thing that exists in this world right now. If you are investing money in stocks, there's no guarantee that the company is going to continue to make a profit and the stock price is going to rise. So this is a risk that is brought up about the metaverse, but I got to tell you, it applies across the board throughout our life. So it's not something to get upset about. It's just something to say, okay, I understand. If I'm going to invest in a metaverse company, if I'm going to put money into the stock of Meta, if I'm going to invest in the Zed Run project, maybe Zed Run is not popular 4 years from now. Maybe they spend too much money, or they can't acquire as much contributions and resources, and so they fall by the wayside. That's part of the risk, and I think it's true no matter where you go. So yeah, so those are some of the things those are the 15 points that I want to talk about today about the risks and the downside and the worst case scenario for the metaverse. Hopefully you have a kind of more broad understanding of what those risks are. And you can say, Ian, or maybe Queen says this, that's not for me. Those risks are too big. Or maybe that's not for me now. Maybe I'm going to wait for a year or two when the technology gets less clunky, when these AR goggles or glasses are easier to deal with, when the price of NFTs goes down. That's fine. my goal in this presentation is to give you those negatives so you can consider them. And then there's the other people like myself, and I'm thinking it's Anthony Goodley, and I think I'm converting the sim architect for sure. Potentially Andrew Hager, where we're like, dude, I'm all in. That's right. What does all in mean? That doesn't mean you mortgage your house and put it all into the metaverse. It just means, okay, I'm open. I'm going to spend some time of my life researching, making some thoughtful plays, and I'm going to win some, I'm going to lose some. But I think overall, since the world is moving this way, I want to be part of the world, right? And I want to do it in my way. I want to do it early so that I have some control over this outcome. All right. So yeah, that's kind of the thought there. Let's look to generic. You had a question about, are there property taxes in the metaverse? There are not right now. It depends on obviously your country and your state and all those different things. You understand that in America, at least, the IRS is requiring people to disclose crypto sales, but there's not been, to my knowledge, and please tell me if I'm wrong, any legislation or certainly anything that's applicable right now, which says you need to report capital gains on NFTs. You CPAs out there, let me know if that's wrong. But certainly I'm seeing not a lot of reporting by my creators on NFTs. Yeah, this is a comment by Fungus. Why wouldn't you just make your own land? Also, land next to a popular area to me is just like having a billboard next to the area because you can't teleport everywhere. Yeah, I'm not exactly following that, but the point of that one is, yeah, that's what's happening. Is that you buy land next to Snoop's estate in the sandbox, and then you can lease the land. You don't have to be the advertiser. You don't have to spend any more money. You could just lease it to someone else who can put signs on it, who can put a cool experience that mirrors a neighboring property. You can hire game developers to have your own land and advertise your products and services. Certainly. And like you said, you can just teleport to other places. Absolutely, you can do that. But there is an attraction to places where most people come into the land at the beginning of the game, and also famous people or interesting areas. So yeah, over time, an interesting area, a fun park in the Decentraland could be located far away, and you could teleport to that. But again, the thought is proximity. Then maybe it's far away, but you want to buy land next to that fun park because there's going to be eyeballs there. So it doesn't really matter distances. It matters proximity. Think about that. Yeah, SimArchTech says most NFTs don't include copyrights. That's absolutely correct. Let's see. Andrew Hager says, will we be able to generate our own pets and creatures in the metaverse too? Same for vehicles. Absolutely. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about that with Coconut Pete the other day. You can create your own assets. You can sell these assets. You can create your own auto line. You can be the new Tesla, but of like I said, Axie Infinity or the Sandbox or something like that. Create your own items, sell them. So if you guys are into programming and understand coding and all that stuff, do that. And frankly, I don't think you need to do that, because if you let's say go to sandbox.game or sandbox.game, you will see that they say you can create your own items for free, no coding experience required. Now, I'm sure it requires artistic experience because I couldn't do it. But if you guys are good at that, let's say you've created some Roblox things, you've created some websites, whatever it is, try this stuff out, because for free right now, you could be creating items that these millionaires that are buying this land would want on their property. So think about it. This is an opportunity. All right, Queen is still here. It's just another enslavement to the metaverse. Well, I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying. Sim says, if I want a piece of art, I just print it myself, much cheaper. Well, you could do that too, always. You say this hashing function only exists within the blockchain, existed long before, but yeah, laugh out loud. Yeah, true. See here, some more comments. Yeah, Sim says money can suddenly be worthless. That's true. Certainly crypto. You're converting Kim, me too. That's funny. Queen Helen says, I will never join the metaverse. No way. I don't want millions of dollars. I am broke. I don't millions of dollars. I am broke. Well, Queen, we're trying to give you opportunities. I don't know what your specialties are, but we're trying to help you come up with some sort of gig in the metaverse. Maybe you're a psychologist or a therapist. Maybe you could help people in the metaverse. I don't know. Maybe you want to sell something on Amazon. Why don't you sell that digital item on Decentraland? Think about it. Anthony says, thinking investing in metaverse property could be a good idea if, with the capital I and the F, and when a person invests in the right implementation. This is so early, no one knows what will be the place yet. Anthony, you're so right, but I got to tell you that you can predict, right? I mean, when you go to some of these worlds and you see Adidas, an international company, buy 20 one-by-one parcels and create a district, they don't usually do dumb things. Granted, they have lots of money, but you can make some predictions. You can see NBA Top Shots, and you can see that they have some affordable options and they have some unbelievably expensive options. You can go to autograph.io and see Tom Brady's company, where they're selling out of their NFT collecting cards in minutes. And we're not talking $1, we're talking thousands of dollars. Again, I'm not the guy that's saying invest all this money in this stuff, but the writing is on the wall. So why not try to figure out a way, like good example, and I'll help you with this because I'm going to send you an email if you join my email list, which you can in the description. There's going to be a link to my email list, or if there isn't already. But I'm going to set you hip to this, but land sales happen. The Sandbox, Decentraland will broadcast, not on the secondary market where it's going for very expensive prices, but on the primary market. And I won't say that it's not expensive, but it's more affordable. And it may make sense for you to buy a one-by-one. And then let's say you don't ever want to develop it, Queen, rent it out. And rents are going to get nothing but higher. And if you get a quality location out there near some of the big companies that are out, The Walking Dead, I'm sure they're going to have a major presentation there at some point in time. Care Bears is there, McDonald's. I think those guys don't waste money. And if you're close to them, I think you're going to get some foot traffic and your property is going to be highly rentable. Even if you want to rent it, give it a couple years and sell it. And I bet you're going to make double, triple, quadruple. Again, not a legal, I am a legal guy, but I'm not giving you financial advice, but I got to say it's the writing's on the wall. True. All right. Queen Helen Casey, I am exposing corruption from the circus clowns in the office. Well, thank you for exposing that. Really love that. And so I want to tell you today, this week, I made some videos that were very important for this quest in the metaverse. And one of them came out on Tuesday, and it's all about soup to nuts, putting crypto in a wallet and getting it to safety, having it in a safe, cold storage device, the Ledger Nano X. Watch the video. It's on the YouTube page, and it's going to help you. And I tried to make it as quick as possible, and it's hard to do. But I will say that if you just learn the process, it's going to help you down the road. It's going to be easier. Then I made a video about virtual land, 7 reasons why you should buy virtual land. That came out on Tuesday. Just do me a favor and watch it and just be open to it. You may say, Ian, BS, I ain't doing it. But at least you have some exposure to it and understand what people are paying 10, 250, $1 million, $2 million worth of money to buy plots in the metaverse. And I want to also say, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said before, I'm doing a short version of this video. So if you have friends or whatever who want to have a little debate about the metaverse with them, tell them to watch that video coming out this week. And thank you. I'll see you next Saturday. We're going to talk about Roblox, and there's some secrets coming out about a new Roblox universe that I want to tell you about. Has to do with me, has to do with Coconut Pete.